Welcome back to the LS NFL podcast with day four of our 32 teams in 32 days series. We have the New York Jets. As we know, last year 4-13 on the field, but they showed progress throughout the season.
Yeah, and adding on to that point, they lost early in the year. They lost games by they lost between weeks 2 and 3. They lost by an average of 22.5 points. That's just absolutely brutal, but it's expected with the new coaching staff. But they did show a lot of progress, like we saw in that Tampa Bay game, even like the Miami games, like that Eagles game. They played them close for a little while. Like the team wasn't good last year, but like they showed promise, and like Robert Saleh, like gave me hope after a rough start that he can be the guy. He can be the head coach of the future for us. And like I'm a Jet fan, so I love the Salah hire at the time. It's great to see that players are coming here because of the culture he's starting to create. All right. All right. Do you want to talk about their draft?
Yeah, I love their draft. I love their first round actually. They got a Sauce Gardner at 4, Garrett Wilson at 10,
Mm-hmm.
Garrett Wilson at 10, and Jermaine Johnson at 26. And Jermaine Johnson, excuse me, fell. I thought he'd go top 15.
I think you'd
That
go top 10 after all that, like all those rumors, they were like saying like the Falcons like him, like even like the Jets liked him at 4.
and he ended up going to the Jets at 26. And they all fill immediate needs.
The Jets had a glaring hole at corner, receiver, and edge rusher last year. All three
And
positions
on
were
top
pretty
of that, they
bad.
got Brees Hall.
I
He would
didn't
fill
love
a
the
nice 1-2 punch with Michael Carter.
Yeah, we'll talk about Michael Carter later on, but I loved Carter. Like, even though he's not going to be the number one, he's still a stud. And adding Brees to that running back room, like, could make it one of the best in the league by the end of the season. I love the DJ re-signing. Loved it. Like, it's not a household name by any means, but at the same time, he was a top 15 corner last year, and I really, really think he can be a top 10 guy this year. What do you think?
I say he could be a top 10 guy. I might say top 30,
Top,
which is not a bad thing.
what?
Which is not a bad thing at all.
So you think he'll still be like a cornerback one caliber?
Yeah.
That's fair. The O line got a lot better with one signing. Lakin Tomlinson was brought in from the Niners. He knows the scheme pretty well since he was with the Niners for a while. I think he made the Pro Bowl last year. He's 29, I believe, and he's still improving. The Jets filled a large hole at guard with this, and I think he'll make an immediate impact. What do you think?
Yeah, he should make an immediate impact. He's going to be a day one starter. However, he did suffer a big loss in the form of
Becton.
Mekhi Becton going down for the second year in a row. But they do have the depth to overcome that. They did just sign Dwayne Brown.
Yeah, Jets also depth wise have like Nate Herbig too, who's solid. But like overall, my favorite move of the offseason were the tight end signings, and like they're not any crazy names. They're not top 10 tight ends, but what like the Jets had the worst tight end room in the NFL last year, and it was blatantly
DJ
obvious.
Uzoma is a top half tight end.
Oh, he's top half. Yeah, I think top half for sure. And I don't want to say top 10, but top half. And Conklin's like pretty underrated. He had a solid year in Minnesota too. So whoever becomes the tight end one is going to have help out Zach Wilson immensely. I think the one of the reasons for Zach's especially early struggles last year, he played too much hero ball. Like like Tyler Croft is just tight end one, and when he's your tight end one, things do not go up. All right, what do you? Oh wait, what do you think about the first question? How do you think Wilson will do in year two?
I think he'll do pretty well. The offensive line improved, the receiving corps improved, the running back room improved, everything around him improved.
By the
So
end of the year, yeah, where do you think he's gonna rank among quarterbacks?
I think he's going to be top 20.
Like in that Tannehill range? Yeah, I think he'll be like in that Tannehill, Mac Jones range, which is completely fine with me. It's much better than last year. Um, do you think Garrett Wilson will be the star of the Jets receiving core, or will it be Elijah Moore?
I think he'll be wide receiver 3.
Garrett Wilson?
Yes.
I think I think he'll be number two to start the year. I just think Corey Davis is not very good.
I think by the end of the year, he'll be wide receiver 3.
Why do you think three, and why don't you think he can have like he's very polished coming out of school
I think that Corey Davis is going to have the better year.
better year? Do you think he'll be productive at all, Garrett Wilson?
He'll be productive, but I think Corey Davis will be more productive.
Do you think Elijah Moore can get to that 1,000-yard mark?
Yes.
Yeah, that'd be the first
I think the
Jet.
Jets have two 1,000-yard receivers.
That'd be the first time since 2015 where Brandon Marshall and Eric Decker each had over 1,000
You
yards.
know, I
apiece.
was rewatching the Jets Patriots game from that year, the one in New York.
I watch it like once a week. It's such a masterpiece. Eric Decker holds it in. The Jets win in overtime. What do you think of Carl Lawson coming back? Do you think he can have 8 sacks more or less? What are your thoughts on him?
Yes,
Less. How many do you think he has?
7.
But do you think he'll be yeah, even if he has 7 or 6, I think that's still a massive upgrade for what we had last year. I think like Shaq Lawson was starting for us. Like the sack numbers don't need to be there, but the pressure numbers have to, and I think that's where he's gonna accumulate. Like I think his pass rush to win rate is gonna be very high.
That's what I'm thinking going into the season with Shaliz Ojolari and Thibodeau.
Yeah.
As long as the pressure numbers are there, I don't really care how many sacks he has.
Yeah, same.
And
Like if you
I'm
get
pretty
to
sure
the,
he's not playing tonight.
if you get to the quarterback, have them make like a bad read, bad throw. That's all that matters. Like you don't have to accumulate the sacks. All right. What do you think about the C minus grade for Zach Wilson?
I'm gonna bump that up to a C. I
See,
don't think he was as bad as people think. He did not have much to work with last year. Let's be honest.
I agree with that. At the same time, I'm going with a C minus for Lawrence Fields and Wilson. I think they were equally bad last year. I think Zach probably showed the most, especially in that Bucks game with those tight window throws. But at the same time, he's
He looked a
unproven.
lot better when he came back from injury.
Oh yeah, he looks like a totally different guy. Like he looked like this sounds crazy to say, but I think watching Mike White play game manager football in some of those games really helped.
For the running backs, why'd you go B?
B just because like Hall is rather unproven. I think it'll be actually an A minus at the end of the year. Like Brees is an absolute stud. I just think they're largely unproven right now. What would you give them?
Because of that, I'm going to give it a B minus.
B minus.
But that doesn't mean that they're bad. They just, I think Michael Carter needs more time, and I think he will be RB1 at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, I think Michael Carter. His stats don't show it, but he is very impressive. Like thing with him is like he's very elusive, great in the past game. His only main weakness is his size. It's not something in his control really, but like he's very small. I think that's why the Jets went with Brees Hall in the second round. But he's still a solid player. The receivers, what would you give?
Receivers, I'll give a B minus.
Minus.
Wilson and Moore aren't really that proven, and Davis is average. I do like
Yeah.
Berrios a lot, but he's average.
He's a good 4. He's a good number 4. And then behind that is where like the bad part comes. Like Denzel Mims had a rocky year last year.
He's
And
still
then
there.
yep, he's wide receiver 5.
Yeah.
He showed promise in 2020 with awful QB play. Like I don't know what happened to him last year. But like the potential is still there. He can go up, grab any ball. It's just about like concentration, focus, the mental aspect of the game for Denzel, in my opinion. What would you give the tight end room?
B.
B. I'd go B plus because everything out of camp about Conklin has been, oh, he's going to be a top 12 tight end this year, and I think he could be top 15 because he had a really high cap percentage last year, and drops were Croft's biggest issue last year. And I think having a tight end like
The thing with
Uzama,
having two potential top 15 receivers is that one of them is going to end up tight end 30 because
yeah,
they play backup.
exactly. Who do you think will be the number 1 guy for the Jets at tight end?
I think it's going to be Uzoma
Uzama.
because of what he showed with the Bengals the past couple of years. I think he's more proven than Conklin.
What would you give the defensive line and why?
I give the defensive line a B.
B. I I was close. I was close to saying A minus. It's just we got to see Carl Lawson and Jermaine Johnson more. What do you think of the interior defensive line?
Interior defensive line A.
Yeah, I'd give that an A too. Quentin Williams is a top 12 defensive tackle. I feel
He's
comfortable saying
so
that.
underrated. Nobody talks about him.
He's extremely underrated. He's like the reason he didn't have as good of a year as 2020 was because Shaq Lawson, he had like no help around him. And I think with Jermaine and Carl, he'll be a top 10 defensive tackle this year, earning him like a pretty big payday. Linebackers kind of concern me. What do you think about them?
C minus.
Uh,
They aren't very good.
Quan is probably the best one, and he's not bad. He's not a liability, but like in 2022, he's not someone you want as your best linebacker. Who do you think the Jets' best linebacker is?
I have no idea who the Jets linebackers are.
They include C.J. Mosley, who's pretty washed.
They
Quincy
still
Williams,
employ him? God.
sadly.
Yeah, I
Um,
probably go CJ Mosley then because I don't know who anyone else is besides Quan
Quin,
Alexander,
Quin,
and he's also pretty washed.
Quincy Williams, we have Jamie and Sherwood. It's a lot of unproven and like past their prime for this position, so they'll be better than last year, but that's not
CJ
saying much.
Mosley fell off a cliff when he signed that Jets contract.
Yep.
Not really
Uh,
because of
didn't,
him, because he kept getting hurt.
didn't have room to put it on here, but what would you give the cornerback room?
C plus
Really? Oh wow. Why C plus?
because they aren't. Because it isn't a proven group. Then again, I said
So
that about the D line, and I gave them B minus.
I'd give B plus to the cornerback room. DJ Reed is an absolute stud.
Oh,
He's
I
a
forgot about him. Then I'll give it a B.
B, yeah. B plus DJ Reed. Otherwise, yes, it's unproven, but Bryce Hall is an excellent cornerback 3. Brandon Eccles is solid depth. Michael Carter, the second in the slot, was quite solid for a rookie for most of last year. And I think that if Sauce is as good as advertised, we can be talking about a top 10, like top 8, 10 cornerback room by the end of this year. What about the safeties?
Um, B minus.
I went with B minus 2. Who is your Jets MVP?
My Jets MVP is going to be Zach Wilson.
Zach Wilson. Um, And it's a lot of that like positional value.
Yeah.
That's fair. I gotta go DJ Reed. He's my boy. I think he'll be a top 10 corner this year for sure. Maybe even top 8. We'll just see. But man, he's looking good in training camp, and he was great all of last year. So that's a really, really good sign. Um, Garrett Wilson is my offensive player of the year. I think he wins offensive rookie of the year. I think he develops into our number 1 by the end of the year. I know Sam has him as a 3, and that's completely fair. But I think that Garrett, he's very polished. Route running's great. Hands are very good. Concentration's there. Everything you'd want in a rookie receiver. I think he maintains that.
My offensive player of the year is Michael Carter. Yeah, I think he's gonna have 1,000 yards rushing.
You think he's gonna be the number 1?
Yes.
Interesting. I think I'll be more of a factor in the receiving game since we took Brees Hall, but if he was the number 1 Michael Carter, I'd be ecstatic about it. I love Michael Carter. Is your defensive player of the year the same as mine?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. There's not much else to say about Quinnen except he's an absolute monster. 2020, he was a top 5 defensive tackle. He fell off a little last year, but at the same time, it was mainly because of what was around him rather than his actual play. Rookie of the year, I'm gonna go Sauce. What about you?
Rookie of the year, I'm gonna go Jermaine Johnson.
How many sacks do you think he gets in year 1?
9.
9. Interesting. Yeah, that'll be great to have. I think Salah and Jeff Earldridge might use him like a little less in the beginning, but if he starts to get comfortable, I think they'll start to use him a lot more. Letdown, who are you going? A player who disappoints.
Let down. Same as yours.
Yeah, there's not much else to say about Mosley. He like a lot of people in 2022 just look at tackles and say he's second in tackles. He's just great, great linebacker. And CJ Mosley was up there in tackles. He had like the 4th most in the NFL, I believe, last year. But he was a disaster in coverage, and he's a shell of his former Raven self.
Yeah, X factor for me is going to be Corey Davis.
And who's your breakout for the Jets?
Breakout Jermaine Johnson.
Jonathan. Have you heard of my breakout pick?
No.
You haven't heard. So he's picked as a corner in the 2021 draft, and like the Jets took a lot of secondary pieces that draft. Some of them are good, some of them aren't. But like he had a really bad start at corner, as like a lot of rookie cornerbacks do. But Salah made a smart decision. He switched him to safety, where he played pretty well, and I think he's gonna have a pretty solid year this year, earning my breakout title. What is your record prediction for the Gangrene?
My record prediction has the Jets 7-10, 14th in the AFC.
7-10, 14th in the AFC. I have the Jets 8-9, tied second in the division, 11th in the AFC. I think the schedule is pretty tough, but like the second, like it's only weeks 9 to 14 that aside from the Bears game where I'm really worried, like could mess up us up a little. Who do you have their wins coming against?
I have the Jets wins coming against the Browns, Dolphins, Patriots, Bears, Lions, Jags, and Seahawks.
That's fair. Wait, screen. All right. What do you when do you think this team can realistically be a playoff team?
I'm gonna go 2023.
Yeah, same. I think next year, because like I think they'll be solid this year, but teams like the Titans, the Raiders, they're getting up there in age. So I think the Jets will have more of an opportunity next year or the year after. All right. That will do it for the New York Jets. We'll be back tomorrow with the other New York team.
New York Giants. See ya. Oh, by the way, before we exits. What do you think about the the new black helmets?
I actually like them a lot. Like some Jet fans don't like them that much, but like they're an upgrade over what we had, and I think they're one of the better alternate helmets in the league.
I don't like them. I would rather Jets have done a throwback.
Ooh,
That doesn't mean I hate them.
they just could have been better.
Yeah.
That's fair.
They could have thrown it back to the Super Bowl days, and
Name it.
then the fans would have universally loved it.
The fans would have gone crazy, but like Joe Namath brings us like he kind of cursed us. Like this franchise is cursed.
All right, peace out, guys.
He's